If you actually pay attention to the things that men do after sex, you actually notice something strange and nobody wants to talk about it. Right when it's over, silence. No explanation. Most women think it's just dumb. It's not. This happens way more often than everyone likes to admit. There's a biological and psychological shift that flips in that exact same moment. And if you miss it, you will misinterpret the silence completely wrong. Because that first minute after sex, that's where everything gets decided. So let's explain what's actually happening in that moment, because the silence is not random. Let's go. Biologically speaking, men, their chemistry has a bigger shift than women do after sex, in my opinion. After an orgasm, these are the brain shifts that almost every man goes through. Now, it deviates based on attachment style. If a man is more of an avoidant, he has less oxytocin receptors, okay? Because of high stress. Cortisol blocks the receptors of oxytocin, which blocks the capacity for a man to feel relaxed, to connect. And when they can connect, when they have high cortisol, the body doesn't release GABA, which allows them to relax and to feel at peace around you, which takes away your capacity to regulate him, right? High stress men are very difficult to regulate, and a lot of times that's why they have a tougher time fixing their attachment. So biologically speaking, prolactin rises after sex, linked to sexual satisfaction and sleepiness. Then the dopamine drops, right? Which if you're talking to a guy that has low oxytocin receptors, this is not good, because they only rely on dopamine to connect. In other words, I can only have fun with you. I can't connect with you. And when that happens, this is when, because think about it, after the dopamine drops, the oxytocin spikes, and that's what makes him want to cuddle with you, right? That's the bonding hormone. If that doesn't happen, a lot of the times they get up and leave, right? Because they don't feel connected with you. And it's not that they don't feel connected, but that biologically speaking, those pathways were not reinforced as children through his mom and dad soothing him. So his brain doesn't have a lot of context of releasing oxytocin. So that's why we almost have to train the cold guys, and they have to be willing. And the way you do that is through literally staying there and touching and as corny as it sounds, cuddling, to be honest with you. Because they'll get used to it. They'll get desensitized to intimacy. But again, he has to be willing to see that as something that he can fix. Okay, you can't preach this to someone. So once the dopamine drops, oxytocin rises, and that's really what happens, right? Sex, oxytocin, this is the whole point. The point is the connection. And after that, there's a refractory period. Body temporarily shuts down sexual arousal, which then, once the oxytocin rises, what do you think is happening? He's connecting with you. If there's no sex drive and yet he's still there with you, his body is bonding with you. You know what's crazy? Some guys just don't have that. They didn't receive the love that as children they deserved. And so you gotta I tell ladies, find someone who's ready. So that's one thing, right? And sometimes even if they feel oxytocin, sometimes they just shut the fuck up. They're just quiet. They're just silent with you. That don't mean nothing. What matters is the energy, the vibe, right? He's quiet but relaxed. Perfect. He's quiet but tense and distant. A little different. So this combination creates fatigue, mental quiet, or emotional stillness. And men, for some men, talking and just being expressive right after sex, it's like trying to talk while doing intense exercise. It just doesn't happen. And so that's why if you're an anxious woman, you might find it might hurt a lot, right? Because you take it personal. You think it's because something's wrong with me. It's not you. It's just their biology. So this silence is not usually an emotional withdrawal. It's just the nervous system recovering. Second thing, sudden drop in tension. Before sex, there's always anticipation, flirting, arousal. And after that, there's orgasm. That tension disappears quickly. Some people experience post-release quiet, where they feel peaceful, empty-headed, sleepy, less driven to interact, and in my opinion, more logical, right? And so it's almost like the big silence that you experience after doing something tough. It's almost like the silence that you experience after climbing a mountain, and you're like that, wow, right? That whole thing requires a few seconds to calm down. Yeah, that's happy. I remember. Yeah, I totally. Oh my god, your fucking ears ringing and shit. Like you're just there like, give me a second. I gotta recover, girl. Oh, Jesus Christ. You're just whew, like that, right? Don't take it personal. Third thing, like I said earlier, he's avoiding. In certain situations, silence signals avoidant attachment style. Because this is the thing. Avoiding attachment style, they want physical closeness, but they just don't have the emotional RAM to have emotional closeness. So that's why they prefer the physical. That's why I said a lot of avoidant guys can be very hedonistic, because when you can't, think about it, it's avoidant human connection, avoiding connecting. So what do? You turn inward and you go into fantasy, which is usually driven by dopamine. Or you go into purpose, right? You either develop a sense of purpose or you become hedonistic, right? But with that comes an emotional distance that allows you to be good at things, but distant from families and friends. And one thing is that they feel awkward about intimacy. It's an awkward feeling. Oh, baby, let's bond. Like some therapist said, Jesus Christ. Adam Lane Smith, I love his videos, but Jesus Christ, does he use I'm not going to say the gayest language, but just the most like, when you bond and you have an intimate moment and an intimate moment of vulnerability, it's like, dude, just shut the fuck up and just say you're silent and you want to connect. Sorry. I just hate. I'm sorry. I'm not going on a tangent. I hate that. Like when you bond, you tell your partner, baby, I want to feel safe around you. It's like, dude, Anyways, see, that's my avoidance side coming out. I hate that language. Anyways, so they feel awkward about intimacy, right? It's an awkward thing. They're unsure about what to expect afterwards, after sex. They're emotionally unavailable and detached. And sometimes they do want to connect with you emotionally. And the way that you know that is that they literally tell you, I want, but I can't, I don't know how to do it. Right? Now, the ones that you can't work with are the ones you talk about this, or you even bring up, maybe you're avoidant. And the ones that, and that maybe you could fix it, it's possible. The ones that say, no, I don't, you can't work with that, because again, they're not even recognizing the problem. There's nothing wrong with being not being perfect. You're human. What's wrong is when you can't admit it. And when you can't admit it, it hurts others. That's what happens. That's the bad part. So if he's avoidant, let me see, people, just finishing up. So with the avoidant guys, it's really, you just have to recognize that they're avoidant. That's a big part, right? Avoidant men disconnect. And this is most likely if the silence feels cold, abrupt, or dismissive rather than relaxed and comfortable, it's usually avoidant. And they're disconnecting. And the problem is that if you deal with that a lot and you're an anxious woman, this is not it. You can't deal with that because your head is gonna fuck with you. And no matter how hard you try, you can't take it personal. All right. The last one is pressure release. Some men feel pressure to perform well during sex. Afterwards, once it's over, they may mentally check out, right? Like that dude was trying to impress you, all right? What's really happening is that the performance anxiety is going away. They're decompressing, and they just don't know what to do next. Like they're like, should I stay? Should I go? You know, that happens. That happens a lot more when you guys don't know each other and you're just trying to impress each other. You don't know what to do next. I just say people high five each other. Just like, yeah, good job, man. That was fun, right? If it bothers you, just bring it up. In any of these cases, you gotta ask questions. I notice, you may say, I notice we get quiet after doing the deed. Sometimes I want a bit of connection. What do you do? What do you usually feel after sex? You know what term I hate? Aftercare. Dude, I swear to God, if I ever date someone and she takes me to see a psychologist, therapist, if she ever uses this type of language, I'm getting the fuck out. I'm like, listen, anyways. So what do you do? So rather than say it like that, I notice you get quiet after sex. You know, I like to hang out a little bit more after sex. what do you usually feel afterwards, right? You know what's funny? It's very important to talk in a guy's language. I swear to God, if you talk to an avoidant guy and you say, I want aftercare after sex because I can't bond, I want more intimacy, that guy's gonna run out. Y'all, like, be careful how you speak about these types of things because they find these type of intimate words awkward. That's a fact, right? So yeah, anyways, let me know what you, so let's do a brief recap. 1, biological calm down. Dopamine, oxytocin, refractory period. It's a biological thing. It's not personal, right? The next one is it means that they're comfortable, calm, and safe, not distant. They're emotionally processing the experience. The sudden drop in tension, all of a sudden, is almost like similar to a quiet after a big task, or after you reach the mountaintop, you're quiet and you're just looking. That's what happens, right? It was a good experience. Now you're processing it. And the next one is that they have an avoiding attachment style. And usually also the last one is performance pressure release. Once they're done performing, you need some silence, right? Like once the team is done playing basketball, you go to the locker room and you just look at the fucking wall. It's not personal, okay? What's personal is when they leave after sex, how they act after sex, when they're rude after sex, when you feel used, you know, that's a real thing. Anyways, thank you guys. Don't forget, pre-order my course, The Commitment Formula. If you watched all the way here, hit the like button, subscribe. And The Commitment Formula is a course that I created to teach women how to find guys that are available, how to communicate and talk to a guy in a way that shows them that you're the type of woman that that you need effort to win over. It's genuinely a course on how to find a long-term commitment. Yes, coming from me, weird. But that's because I'm in my own process and I'm like, you know, I'm done being just not being in a relationship. Okay, so now this is my journey and this course is what I've learned that helped me. And what I learned that allows me to open up emotionally more. So I think you guys are also gonna benefit from that. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this and I'll see you guys next time.